Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to dive into this one with you because, well, we're doing something a little bit different today. We are stepping entirely out of those traditional, completely sterile testing rooms, the ones, the white walls, the fluorescent lights, the clipboards, and we're jumping straight into the actual, messy, chaotic, and beautiful world of everyday psychology. The way scientists study human behavior is radically evolving right now, and today we're going to figure out exactly how and why that's happening. We're going to kick things off by framing our journey around this beautifully poetic quote from the pioneering psychologist William James. He said, "The true laboratory of psychology is the chaotic, unscripted theater of everyday human life." And this isn't just a nice philosophical thought, it's the fundamental reality of who we are. Our genuine reactions, they don't happen in a vacuum, right? They happen right there in that unscripted theater of our daily routines. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this stark contrast for a second. On one side, we have a study from May 2021 where subjects sat under these harsh fluorescent lights and were literally injected with stress hormones so researchers could monitor their blood cells. Now, don't get me wrong, this is precise science. It successfully proves an internal biological reaction. But compare that to, say, a chaotic college dormitory during a totally normal, unscripted argument. The sterile lab completely fails to tell us if typical domestic arguments actually trigger those same physical responses at home. By isolating human behavior inside these artificial rooms, we really risk detaching psychology from the complex reality of everyday existence. So here is our roadmap for today to unravel this whole methodological shift. First, we'll look at the artificial lab problem. Second, the real-world memory paradox. Third, tools for everyday tracking. Fourth, smartphones, stress, and students. And finally, we'll wrap up with full cycle psychology. Section 1, the artificial lab problem. Why strict control comes at a cost. So traditional laboratories have long been the undisputed gold standard for establishing clear causal relationships, but they have a massive fundamental blind spot. And to understand it, just think about a medical phenomenon you might have actually experienced yourself: white coat hypertension. This is a temporary spike in a patient's blood pressure that's caused entirely by the stress of just being in a clinical or lab environment. Think about what that actually means. Human biology literally alters simply by stepping foot into a lab. It proves that we inherently change our natural behaviors when we are hyper-aware of being observed. So if our bodies change just by entering a lab, our behavior for sure does too. What we're really looking at here is a giant scientific tug of war. On one side, you have internal validity. This is your sterile lab, strict control, eliminating all those messy outside variables, which gives you super clean data. But by prioritizing internal validity, we sacrifice what's on the other side, ecological validity. That's the degree to which findings actually reflect authentic, natural experiences that generalize to the real world. Without ecological validity, psychological research kind of loses its practical, everyday utility. Section 2, the real-world memory paradox. When laboratories get it completely wrong. Here is where this story takes a brilliant narrative twist. It turns out that artificial labs don't just limit our data. Sometimes they actually lead us to completely wrong conclusions about basic human capabilities. For years, lab tests consistently showed that older adults performed terribly on memory tasks compared to younger people. It was a pretty bleak assumption. But around the turn of the millennium, some researchers decided, hey, let's actually go into the homes of these older individuals and monitor their unscripted, natural conversations. And the result? No way. When measured in their actual lives, they absolutely excelled at remembering real-world tasks. This is known as the age prospective memory paradox. Stepping out of the lab literally shattered the previous scientific consensus. This paradox perfectly embodies Kurt Lewin's profound observation. He said, we must study behavior where it happens, for a psychology restricted to the laboratory will always remain blind to the true melodies of life. Actually going into people's homes bridge that deep, deep gap between rigid experimentation and genuine social interaction. Section 3, tools for everyday tracking, taking the scientific method into the wild. So how exactly do we study behavior where it happens? Okay, let's move to the timeline and see how this builds. You can trace a clear progression here. Back in November 2007, researchers started using portable audio recorders to track behavior. Fast forward to May 2021, and we were still grappling with the limits of those lab-based stress studies. But look at 2026, March, April, and June. They all feature pervasive digital tracking, using smartwatches and apps to monitor distractions, distress, and addiction exactly as they happen in real time. The tools making this possible are absolutely incredible, and they capture the natural rhythm of our daily lives so well. You've got the experience sampling method, sending random smartphone prompts throughout the day to catch immediate feelings. There's the daily diary method for those deep evening reflections. We see ambulatory assessments that track physiological stuff like heart rate during ordinary tasks. Then there's the day reconstruction method to rebuild chronological episodes, and digital tracking to analyze virtual socialization. These tools are a total game changer because they transform passive test subjects into active partners in their own environments. One of the most fascinating tools out there is the electronically activated recorder, or the ER. It's this portable audio device that participants just wear as they go about their day, and it periodically records bite-sized snippets of ambient sound. It discreetly captures the genuine arguments, the spontaneous laughter, the isolated moments of deep sorrow that actually make up our days. It's like a fly on the wall, allowing scientists to peer into the private tapestry of human existence without interfering at all with the natural flow of life. Section 4. Smartphones, Stress, and Students. Applying the toolkit to modern academic life. Before we hit the hard data on students today, I want to use this thought from Thomas Henry Huxley as a sort of philosophical palate cleanser. Science is nothing but trained and organized common sense, looking closely at the world as it truly presents itself. And let's be honest, the world as it truly presents itself today is highly digital and highly stressed. Which brings us to this really groundbreaking study from April 2026, known as the Vibe Up Trial. Researchers used smartwatches to actively monitor the psychological distress of university students, including older, non-traditional learners, right in their natural environments. When the device sensed distress, it prompted the student to engage in immediate physical activity. And the result? Real-time examination anxiety was significantly reduced. By capturing data during actual daily routines, the trial offered immediate wellness solutions that a traditional lab simply could never have replicated. But here's the catch. This same technology also reveals the hidden dangers in our environments. In March 2026, research showed that sudden smartphone notifications cause severe focus fragmentation for students trying to complete complex assignments in loud dormitories. Then, in June 2026, a digital health study revealed that problematic smartphone addiction triggers severe emotional dysregulation. Continuous digital checking increases academic procrastination and anxiety. These are massive, real-world academic hurdles that are completely invisible in brief, artificial testing rooms. Section 5. Full Cycle Psychology. Marrying the laboratory with the real world. Because ultimately, the goal isn't to just tear down the traditional laboratory and toss it out the window. Not at all. The goal is to perfectly integrate the precision of the lab with the reality of our actual lives. This is called full cycle psychology, and it works in 3 really elegant steps. First, you observe an effect out in the natural field, like, say, noticing students seem more distracted in dorms. Second, you take that observation and verify it rigorously in a controlled lab to establish a clear cause and effect relationship. And finally, step 3, you return to the field to corroborate those findings back in the natural world. This comprehensive method ensures that psychological findings don't just look good on paper, but truly generalize to all of us. A quick but huge thank you to chapter author Matthias R. Mill, the NOBA textbook Discovering Psychology 2.0, and the Diener Education Fund. Their foundational work made the insights we explored in this explainer today incredibly accessible for everyone. And that leaves us with one final, provocative thought to close out our time today. If a college study tracked your phone habits for a single week, what patterns would you see? And seriously, how would your family react to seeing that data? Psychology isn't just happening in a textbook or some pristine lab. It's happening on your smartphone, right there in your living room, in the completely unscripted theater of your daily life. Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep observing the world around you.